It's the match that I think could potentially end in a very similar fashion if Bleed turn up in the server the way they always have. They go up against Direwolves, a roster that for us coming into Asia for stage one, we're still sitting on the fence about. We feel like they could be a competitive team, but currently, from what we've seen, they're still lacking a little bit. Xenox, do we think that Direwolves will be able to change that tune by the end of tonight?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, it's the Asia League in a nutshell. We said it in the pre-show discussion, right? That kind of 1 to 6 bracket is very difficult to predict. Argue maybe 1 to 5 now. No offense to Daystar, but that performance has changed my tune on them. But Direwolves, though,
Yep.
I mean, they did actually beat Daystar, and it was actually 7-4. So maybe that result doesn't look as good in hindsight. They also dropped 3 rounds to Hissy Warriors, both those coming on Chalet. So there is a tendency to maybe head to that again, something to keep an eye on. Maybe an easy ban if that's something that Bleed don't want to even sort of entertain. I think this is a decent team without being a team that can go all the way. Is that the right way to say it? I think they're a good
That's
team,
fair.
Rob, but I don't know if they're ever going to Manchester.
Speak to me in O's terms.
In those terms, I don't even know what
Yeah.
they
wouldn't beat Bliss.
They certainly would not beat Bliss.
I was hoping you'd go ahead and tell
But
me
they're
they
an
were
okay
Antic,
team.
You know, that could have been fun. That could have been fun.
There's a lot of eyes on Joker right now as well when you look at that EPS. 174. The man has come in and fragged out. So they're going to need him again tonight if they're going to have any chance against Bleed.
Yeah, look, breakout debut performances. We've seen them few and far between. Sometimes they happen. Guys, this roster really does it's got the makings of a team that could do the damage. Do you feel like there's a key element missing at the moment?
Well, I think experience for one thing, and that's obviously the time in which the team has had together, but also in terms of official exposure against high quality opponents. Daystar have unfortunately probably cemented themselves mid to lower tables, so game 1 for Direwolves, can't take too much away from that. And very much the same case with Hissy Warriors as well, currently in 7th place. So their opening week was relatively easy and straightforward. You know, they got the job done and reflected that 7-4, 7-3 scorelines. However, against Bleed, we're going to get a much better reflection as to where they're at. And for these guys, a good opportunity to get that exposure and experience against what the best in the region has to offer.
Well, speaking about their opponents, Bleed have started this stage, and look, they have outright admitted that the teams returning from SI globally have had somewhat of a moment of fatigue in most of their opening play days, and they're no exception to the rule. But the big thing is, Xenox, they've still pulled 2 wins out, 7-4, 7-4, maybe a little bit closer than they would have liked, but they're still getting these games across the line, and they're still showing us that they are the contender.
Yeah, I mean, that first opening play for those that missed it, they dropped the opening 4 rounds to Hasib Warriors, and they just looked shocked. I mean, Bleed themselves were just losing those rounds. Like, Hasib were great, but you're just sitting there like, what are Bleed doing? And then they turned it around and won 7 in a row, closed it out. And then to beat Fury, which typically in the Asia region, Fury have actually had the number over Bleed a lot of the times recently over the 2023. And so for them to get that win, you give Fury some credit. They're still an SI team. They got a couple of rounds on the board, but Bleed were just by far and away the better team. The other factor too, and I'm not entirely sure if it applies to Bleed. I'm kind of guessing here, but when we've had conversations with Bliss in Oceania, they've spoken about how they have to adjust their game style once they come back home compared to international. And I do wonder if Bleed has an element of that coming back to Asia, playing against these teams after playing against far more sophisticated teams internationally overseas. There has to be some kind of change up in terms of the way you want to approach these games. I would imagine so. And so therefore, it's not too surprising to have seen them with such little time from SI to this stage, maybe just be a little slow out of the gate, but they've had plenty of time now. This is a game they should be winning against Direwolves. I need to see them be a little bit cleaner inside of the server though.
Self-awareness is sometimes scary, Michael, and it's no it's no exception when you talk about Bleed. You know, Mentalist, the leader of their team, really does have an incredible he's got an incredible resume, first off, but just the extent to which he has been playing this game for and leading teams at the top is just absolutely incredible. One player that doesn't have as much experience, if you will, Reaps, who kind of broke out onto the stage in late 2022, has continued to just be an absolute animal. Guys, what do you make of this matchup?
Yeah, it's an intriguing one, right? Two players that are quite closely matched. We look at that entry stat straight away for me. The share for both players is actually quite high, 90% for Souffle, and that 32% entry percent for Reaps is also relatively quite high. And especially when you also look at some of the primary operators being played, you're not typically seeing, the likes of the Buck and the Mute actually play heavy entry roles, but that's just the flexibility that Reaps brings to the roster and the fragging power that he's able to achieve. As everyone knows at this point, he has the most ridiculous sensitivity on planet Earth. It is quite literally a 1-inch 360. So I don't know how he's able to even control his mechanics, but he's just an enigma with that. And he's definitely a danger man. He can, I will say, at times be a little bit hot and cold, especially on that entry role. But if Bleed are in flow state, they're getting that information to him. I don't see any reason why he won't be able to perform tonight.
Well, what's a really interesting statistic, just to kind of, I guess, almost counter that for the first two playdays, guys. He hasn't missed a single entry. He is 7-0 on the entry at the moment. But that just, I mean, that probably goes to highlight the hot and cold nature that we've seen from Reaps over the last 12, 24 months. He really is a player, I feel, that on his day might be one of the best players that we've seen compete in this region. And then other days, sometimes it just it goes missing. But Souffle has been a very solid player for Direwolves for such a long time, Xenox. It feels like that experience mixed with a player that can put up those numbers is a very dangerous concoction.
Yeah, it certainly is, and it helps as well when you probably got someone like Joe Gore who's, like a 1.8 something EPS through the first couple of play days. Again, very small subsample that they've actually had, but it does mean he doesn't have to do everything. At times, there is somewhat a bit of that belief with Reaps that he's the superstar player on that roster, but Asfi's been also someone, and actually technically higher rated than Reaps at the moment. So, and I think also Asfi was doing a lot of that at SI. So Asfi, Reaps, Turst a little bit slow to begin this stage. We know he's very talented. I think Hoven's in probably career best form. So Bleed across the board are super top heavy. Whereas for Direwolves, it's kind of like Jogor, then Souffle, and then who's next? And that's kind of my concern. Pika's had a horrible stage so far. Across the board, just in red. From an entry to KD to survival rate to even cost is like one of the lowest in the whole league. So they need him to be probably back to his best. And Direwolves themselves can't be reliant on two players.
No, they can't. And especially not going up against Bleed. Of all teams in the entire region, this is the game that all players have to be firing, all players have to be prepared. Guys, just to theory craft a little bit, what map do you want to see?
What map do I want to see? What map do you think we're going to see? What do we...
No, what map do you want to see? I don't care about what map we're going to see. I just want to know what
I mean, honestly,
on
a personal note, I feel like the variance in maps has been pretty good so far across many regions. We aren't really stuck in the meta we had a couple of years back where we see two maps that entire best of one stage. So yeah, I'm intrigued to see what gets brought out in this one. Will Bleed try and go to something more aggressive where they can, play off the entry? Will that get banned out by Direwolves? I mean, Border a good example of that. We'll see Direwolves deal with that quite handsomely. And it does mean we're going to end up going to Club. So a very structured, fundamental-based map. One where, honestly, I think both teams will probably do okay. Bleed, though, better synergy, better experience, and knowing how to play it at an international level as well would have picked up some tips and tricks that you wouldn't typically see in regional play for Asia. So I think they'll have a leg up in that regard. But if there's any good fallback map for Direwolves, it probably should be Club. We are yet to see them play it, though, this stage. They played Chalet in both of their opening matches. So it will be a bit of a shift in pace for them in the official setting.
I guess it's it's an important thing to look at when you look at Bleed's performance and what they've brought back from their international performances and their appearances, what they're going to be able to bring back and I guess adapt to the Asia League. As I was saying before, we see teams return domestically and things have to change for them. They can't continue to compete like they were over at SI or Atlanta, Copenhagen, wherever you may have been. I think Xenox has actually been to Sweden. And on that note, we're going to fly over to Thailand. It's time to get underway with the clubhouse. He has. Where haven't you been, Jake? Actually, you know what? You're not going
I haven't been to Manchester, Rob.
Oh, would you? Who knows?
Wait, you go to Manchester?
Are you going to go to Manchester, Jake?
I must have missed the email.
Just saying I haven't been.
Well, that's very unfortunate because you won't be going anytime soon. It's time for us to head to Clubhouse.
I know about Manchester, but that man is a jester. And I don't know what he's talking about half the time. We're going to Clubhouse, Mandy, and this game could very well be quite average if Direwolves cannot keep up with Bleed.
Yes, that is correct. This game could be profoundly mediocre, but that is okay if we want to go to Clubhouse. Hopefully Direwolves have a little bit more to show. You know what? Hasib Warriors got 4 rounds on Bleed, so all I'm saying is anything could happen. Anyone could do it. You never know.
But remember that you got to do it right at the start, because as soon as Bleed realize they're losing, they wake up and they win 7 rounds in a row. Yeah. So Direwolves, they've had mixed results so far. I guess 2 wins against arguably 2 of the weaker teams in the league. Obviously, Daystar 7-4 on the first day. That was quite a close game, to Daystar's credit. And then 7-3 over Hasib's Warriors. They haven't truly been tested. Direwolves have not played one of the top teams yet. This is a rude introduction to that. And of course, the last time these teams played each other in Stage 2, it was a dominant 7-2 in favor of Bleed. Time for Direwolves to try and crack up some revenge.
Yeah, Dokubi ban from Bleed immediately off the back is completely fair enough, very much warranted against the likes of Jogor, who has been tearing it up on Chalet, SMG-12 in hand. And you know what? Taking away Comfort Pick makes me wonder what he will actually pick on attack def, because I don't think that we've seen him pick any other operator but Dokubi.
Not sure he's got anything else unlocked, actually. Like, does that mean he has to play through?
That's a good one from you.
Well, it is Clubhouse, so he might have to actually play an operator that contributes to the team club. I guess the meta these days, you can often only run 2 hard breaches, but you know, if you're going to run hard breaches and, you know, EMPs or whatever, or Maverick, then either way has slipped through both Maverick and Hibana, the 2 big hard breaches on this map that really have a big impact. Instead, the attack bans have been used to target that Monty. So, yeah, I don't know. I would love to see what Jogor is playing. It looks like it's a buck, so he actually will contribute somewhat with the hard... Nope, never mind. I guess he'll re-pick in the prep phase anyways, but, yeah, if he sticks his Bliss, thing could be very exciting.
Interesting. Very interesting. But I think you pointed out correctly, basically everything is slipped through from the ban phase on the side of the attack that you could possibly need to crack open this map. You've got your Mavericks, you've got all your hard breach, and you've got Thatcher as well. So surely this is like the attackers galore on Clubhouse. Once you actually get yourself into the building, it should be fairly quick work to go and make the motions through the mid-round happen so you can unlock the bomb site from there.
True. But Solus is available, which means that clearing the map is not going to be easy. Hayid is up, so you got a lot of wall denial, and of course Fenrir is up as well. So entering the map. Once you've done your roam clear, once you've dealt with the Solus, once you've dealt with all these mute jammers on the roam, and you're finally ready for an execute, you're walking into Fenrir gadgets and Azami setup. So I wouldn't have limitless confidence in the attacking side here, despite hard breach being available, because there's a lot more up for grabs than just hard breach.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think this roam game from Bleed is completely warranted as well. In the state of the attack, you don't want to be giving up the entire map, and actually your strength, like you pointed out quite astutely, is in that roam game and is in holding onto the map instead, which is why they've extended their way up all the way through the top floor. They've even reinforced out the CCTV wall as well, so that's going to have to be opened, an EMP wasted, and an exothermic charge wasted immediately within the first 30 seconds of the round.
I think the intention here for Bleed is just to feign some kind of roam presence, maybe shoot a few drones, and then fall back to site. Does seem to be what they're doing. I believe Turdster is still on the roam, but if we can have a look, I think that, yeah, so just Turd at the moment. I think everyone else is back on site or in secret where they're essentially just looking to relocate away from site. Turd's been droned, and now he will essentially have to play his life. It's pretty much impossible for him to get out of here without dying, so he's going to have to take some fights and hope that he can find a player or two.
Brave.
That's Seal. Yeah, very brave, but very effective. Looking for another one now. He's in a fantastic position. The flashbang is a significant miss. I always have to be ultra careful. Turdster could deal a hell of a lot more damage, but guess what? It's Jogor, the man himself. He's got the DMR on Buck. He doesn't need Dokubi after all. He enters and he takes down Turd.
That was a curious one there for Turd from me. I thought that first impact to get his way out of Bathroom was pretty good, but then after that he used the second impact, which did net him a kill, but it meant that he couldn't then open up the hatch and then make an escape plan, right? So essentially being stuck on the top floor. His Asphy still holding on to Secret, is able to collect... actually, no, he wasn't actually able to find anyone, just trying to look to refrag his teammate Reeps, who had gone down as well early on in the rounds. Man advantage now for Direwolves as they make their way into the basement, but the time is ticking away.
Yeah, I think that this was an overcommitment on that Roman Secret. That really should have just been to shoot drones and fall back, but instead Reeps overpeaked and lost his life. No refrag was available. Nice impacts being used just to try and deal damage to these roamers. Or not roamers, rather, vertical players. Hoven does have a lot of Kiba barriers in pocket 3, in fact, so in the very late round, you could actually completely lock up the site.
Right, 30 seconds left to go, and I think you've put it quite well here. Bleed should have the upper hand as the flashbangs do sail on through. The power positions are still aplenty for Mentalist.
Oh no! Yeah, and Mentalist goes down. Felarx has found one. Asphy retaking blue. He's found a big pick. Can he deny the plan? Massive from Asphy. 1v2 for poor Souffle. Might be able to find the angle. Sees him for a brief moment. A bit of an overpeak there from Hoven, but it doesn't matter because he finds the kill regardless. Good start from Bleed. A player down and still managed to fend off that execute.
Yeah, well played there from the remaining 2 players, especially taking down the plants. So Direwolves, I think, not making quite a deep enough run into the bomb site, even though they had the man advantage going in through that execute and planning somewhere that they thought was safe. But in fact, there was a sneaky little lurker inside of blue that they hadn't taken down just yet. I think ultimately Bleed getting enough value that, you know, they wanted to get out of that roam early on, finding the early pick and then being able to fall off. And yes, I think they did overcommit to it slightly, but it still compounded pretty well to what was quite a chaotic execute, which they thrived in.
It felt like that Bleed had a lot of different layers to that defense, right, Mandy? You know, they have all this set up on the roam. They have a player committing to the roam in Turd Stuff. They had players committing to like a kind of passive staircase roam. And then even when it comes down to an execute, not only have they got impacts for potential contesting vert or potential denying hard breach, but they've got Kiba barriers on site, they've got Fenrir's gadgets. There's so many ideas here for Bleed. It's not as simple as our win condition is one thing. They have so many different redundancies if one doesn't work.
Having one out the basement, Bleed will take us up to the top floor in CCTV and Cash as well. Still leaning into the mirror for Asphy. It's fairly interesting interpretation of this bomb site. I don't actually know where they've gone. So one has gone here on the Cash wall.
Is it top right?
Or the wall, you know, inside of Cash. And then the other one has been placed in Bathroom. Interesting. Not what you normally see with the mirror, but could work out well. What?
What? It's a rush from Joe Gore as well, all the way up the stairs, and he finds a big pick. Reeps has gone down.
How's that happened?
Great question. I don't know how that breaching charge kill was enabled, but Direwolves have really sprung to life. 3 huge picks, and now it's all about consolation and consolidation. Do not forfeit this numbers advantage. Joe Gore really, his priority should just be trying to punish this player, and moving too much in the site, Asphy loses his life, all up to Turd. Spotting one player. Don't overpeak here. You will give him an opportunity, but not enough. Joe Gore stands tall again. Huge couple of picks there, and Direwolves completely blitz open the site.
Wow. Yeah, so the bomb site was actually gym and bedroom. I got that completely wrong, by the way.
I thought it was Cash.
I thought it was Cash
because I heard you say Cash, I thought it was Cash.
I said Cash. Oh, it was totally not Cash. So it was just doing set up over there instead. Oh god, wow! How did someone die to a breach charge on the jacuzzi wall of all things? Like I can only imagine.
Wall?
Yeah, I can only imagine. Maybe someone was reinforcing it late or something like that. Pika comes in with a breach charge, and then bang! You get a kill out of it, and then they can walk in on the bomb site. Like, what's going on there? What has just happened?
I don't know what's wrong with your headset if you can't hear a breaching charge being deployed on a wall right next to you. Very peculiar behavior.
I don't understand. You know, that was one of those rounds that just. All right, replay.
Oh, we're not going to replay that kill.
But we're not going to replay. But we're not going to replay the part where they get that. Damn it!
We need someone to go to the replay file and find out what the hell happened there.
Wow. That was a very strange round of Rainbow Six. Yeah, somehow Direwolves was able to crack open the bomb site really early. Bleed just not ready for a breach charge on the wall. 2 or 3 people walked straight on into gym, which was the bomb site, by the way. We had no idea. And then the roam game fell apart completely on the side of CCTV as they were stuck between a rock and a hard place, and that was it. Direwolves won the round. Very strange one, but they won.
And as we've learned from Direwolves and from Joe Gort, you gotta go fast.
Gotta go fast.
He does see somebody this time, so I don't think he's gonna head straight on. Oh, he's actually keen to contest. Wow, he's ballsy. I really like the ADS that's set up. I don't know if we can get a free cam on it, but there's an ADS set up inside of Cash, just next to top red. And there's a little hole that we saw the Jaeger open with his carbine into top red that just actually enables that ADS to catch any projectiles that are trying to flush out that top red position. It's actually just to the left. This hole in the wall, there's the ADS. And it will protect that Kiba barrier and anyone playing top red through that line of sight.
That is very nice. That is not bad on the side of Bleed. Quite like that one. All right, so here goes Joe Gore. I think he's realized that Rafters looks pretty vacant now, question mark. It certainly does. Someone has fully rotated out of it, seeming that the room clear has come through. They have gone for a repeat of gym and bedroom. It is not CCTV and Cash. As the roam clear starts to come through, Joe Gore has already made his way all the way up the rafters. There are 2 players still on this side of the map that he's now cut off.
And he's also the perfect operator to deal with this mirror, as he does have the Ash. Moment, he wants to get in amongst the action. He's going to peek and take down that mirror window. And this defense is looking a little bit difficult now. Asfi does have a C4 available. Trying to make a line of sight for his teammates to help. Here come the flashes. It looks like he is completely cut to pieces. However, a good trade from Hoven, who has opened that peeking angle. And Reaps has found a double amidst the chaos. What is going on? A late lurk up the main stairs finds nothing. Hoven finds his second piece for the round. And you blink and you miss it. Direwolves fall.
Yeah, look to do a sweep across the map with Direwolves. They committed themselves pretty heavily to that CCTV and Cash contestation, and then by the time that actually came through, Bleed held on to such good crossfires that as they tried to enter into the building, they got taken down. I've got no idea where Reaps actually found his double in the end, but I can only imagine he was able to find some picks off the back of all the attention being turned to players like Asfi and like Hoven, who are really stuck in their positions. Hell in the cell once that wall had been open and once Joe Gore was in his cut-off position, but nevertheless, they make the best of that situation and they take down Direwolves.
Did they do?
That was very strange. Another really strange round, Dev.
Yeah, we've been treated to a few of those here.
Very weird.
Both Direwolves and Daystar, like in the last game, these attacks are just so fast. Like, not afraid of just going in for it.
You know what? It's our OS brains actually can't keep up. Like, yesterday, we're on the OS broadcast, we're sitting there in the studio, we're watching this, like, nice, slow gameplay where they're breaking apart the map step by step, and then we come to watch Asia League, and it's just the polar opposite in pacing. Like, completely the opposite in every single way. It's very hard to follow.
Yeah, well, OS is historically the slowest of the APAC
The Cade Claw is in the sink.
Yeah, it's not even hidden, but yeah.
It's in the sink.
Anyone that actually walks into kitchen will see that for sure, but yeah, no, it's a cool idea. There are a lot of little clever spots you can find it, but there's also a Thatcher, so it kind of doesn't matter.
Damn, true, hey. I was just thinking about that. That would have been so cool if there was no Thatcher on the board. Oh well, alas. Okay, so Bleed are going to go down to the basement, which we saw them successfully defend last time, although I think it's fair to say it's one of the more scary looking rounds. They did commit themselves to a roam last time around. Turd found one, then fell off, and then Reaps didn't fall off, and it kind of got dicey in towards the bomb site, but nevertheless they won it. This time around, Bleed are fully committing to playing the anchor game. They've got no one on the roam except for Turd, who I think was holding onto the ground floor for just a little bit, but even he's vacated a spot.
Oh,
okay, never mind. No, he hasn't. He's gone back up and gone into pantry instead, so it's just Turd doing Turd things.
This is classic from Turd as well. You know, there are some players that just love to rat, and he is one of them.
He's protecting the Cade Claw.
He is protecting the Cade Claw. He's also a good operator for it, because being the Solus, he can constantly use his gadget to see if there are any drones near him or anyone droning outside. He's also got an impact. He could go for a run out outside. So he's got options here. It's a nice idea, but really, you make a play like this, and it's on Direwolves to deal with it, right? Like, Direwolves have to make a mistake not to get a free kill, but if they drone him out and pinch him out, then this is a free kill. And I think they're about to drone him. Thoroughly will peek a check. There's Turd. And this should be a freebie now. It's so easy to cut him off out of this position. You just have someone watch the hallway, you open up the window behind him, open up the door behind him, and you just stun him out and kill him. So this should be a freebie if Direwolves play their cards right.
You've got to be careful though. There is a pre-placed C4 inside of the hallway, so if they want to try and pinch him out from inside the hallway and through this door inside a pantry, they'll need to be careful making their way on through. Great three-way pinch though from Direwolves, sealed to collect the kill, undeterred all the way out from the kitchen window, does at least select that pick or secure that pick down. But the time is ticking away. There's only 50 seconds left for them to go. Oh, the Cade Claw worked! The Cade Claw worked! What? He's trying to get rid of it. No, oh no, he didn't. He actually shot it. Damn it! Because I saw him do the Hibana charges on the side, and so I thought he didn't realize that the Cade Claw was there. But no, it's okay. It has been shot out. But nevertheless, there isn't really enough time here for Direwolves to actually make something work. Even when the kitchen hatch is open, there's only 20 seconds left in the round. No one is really postured for a proper execute here. The diffuser is by Moto. What is going on for Direwolves?
Not much. I can tell you that. Direwolves have to have an explosive execute. Asfi taking a lot of damage, but he does find one kill traded on back again. Numbers are even, but Direwolves have to keep up the pace. Diffuser not down. Mental is caught in the corner, but it doesn't matter because time is their best friend, and the diffuser was cold on the ground. A solid attempt from Direwolves there, but just far too slow. Another 10 seconds, and they could have won that round, but Bleed simply bled the clock.
Yeah, honestly, I know that Turd died on early, but I feel like he sunk quite a little bit of time there.
True. I had a nice line for it that you would get excited about the Cade Claw, so I didn't get to say, but I was going to say I had no idea that Direwolves were such good rat hunters.
Ah, that's good from you. That's not bad. I mean, yes.
I mean, actually, more cats kind of get used for hunting some rats more than dogs, but oh well. I was going for something there.
Alas, I liked what you were going for. It works. I don't know. I thought Direwolves did alright though. I think, in consideration of how much of the map that they'd been given up, they took a lot of time. Actually, sorry, I said they did well though. They didn't do very well though. In consideration of how much the map had been given up, there was a lot of free real estate. And even though there was so much that top floor given up to them, all the ground floor except for pantry, they still took the full over 2 minutes to actually clear out the top 2 floors. Last time around, even when there was a roam presence, they looked a bit more active on it, right? So that time, I think maybe taking too much caution into it afforded Bleed a lot of comfortability on the bomb side with very little time for the execute to come through. Even though the kitchen hatch did get opened, they then looked like they were postured for a moto and triple wall, but there was a mirror on that, and it all kind of just fell apart. They didn't look like they were on the same page in the late round.
Yep, I would agree with you. Direwolves have some strengths, but yeah, time management was not one there in that round. Now, a mirror has been placed on the CCTV wall. As believe it or not, Mandy, we actually are seeing CCTV. That I can confirm this is not gym and bedroom. It's locked.
Excellent news.
This is CCTV. Interesting. Wow, a smoke grenade actually used to block the mirror window. And in fact, that's thermite charge is able to detonate. It is a really finicky breach, though. That open mirror still protected somehow, like underneath that. Yeah. Velarx is trying to destroy this keeper barrier. It's going to take quite a bit of bullets. But I'd say Direwolves are actually making pretty solid progress here. They've managed their time pretty well.
Yeah, they've done all right here. I would have to agree with that as well. Velarx, having done the exothermic charge upside down, does mean that it doesn't quite get the destruction on the lower half, so that the lower half of the exothermic charge is more has more destruction than the top half. And so if Velarx had done it the other way around, I think it would have destroyed more of the mirror, as I understand the way that the physics works. But nevertheless, that wall has been opened, and the main thing is the pressure is now there. So if there's a player out in the balcony later on the round, they can then go and use that long line of sight to then cut the bomb site in half, right? So here goes Jogor in his peek through Con, although there is a mirror on the other side of that as well. They don't really have a lot to actually drill into this mirror unless Joe can actually land his final Ash Breach charge, but that's like a pretty dangerous angle to be peeking from his position.
What's more, there is a 1 mile on the board, so possible that single Ash charge could get shot. No, so a flash goes out to make sure that it doesn't, and the Ash charge does go out. However, still, the wall has not able to be breached as of yet. As the mirror is open, there are quite a few angles that Joe has to worry about. Velarx, no hard breach remaining. Hika still has one Selma. Oh, Joe's just going in! But he's been red, and he does go down. Now the execute must come through from Direwolves with a player down, a second player now taken out. Asfi taking a bit more damage there from the Capital's fire. A seal gets him down on the ground, but it's not enough for the round to go their way as of yet. Pika finding one below does bring this back into the realm of possibility. However, player at the top of his stairs is going to be difficult to take down, and Mentalist finds him a 3k for the mirror at the top of red, leaving just Souffle all alone on this very scuffed breach, and Mentalist secures the quad kill in the round. Bleed starting to build up this momentum on defense. 4 rounds to Direwolves as 1.
Yeah, very great round there from Bleed. They played the discipline, even though there was so much of that zoning utility that was coming out towards the execute phase. The Capital Fire going down, for example, the flashbangs being sailed on in. They held their ground. They played the crossfires. They knew that the breach on the CCTV was a bit, hey, how you going? It was a bit dangerous, and so they just, held on to the positions in blind spots from those cutoff angles and made sure that the push couldn't come in through Con. And by the time that Direwolves tried to make that entry work, they were walking into about 3 or 4 guns staring straight down the barrel at them. So well played there from Bleed, not getting over aggressive, playing the discipline game and holding on to the power positions to win it out.
A lot of solid defenses from Bleed here, Mandy. I think that basement defense that they won on time is probably the one that stands out to me as being particularly decisive and impactful. It wouldn't have taken much for Direwolves to win that round and be one step closer to being even here. And of course, even is no longer achievable for Direwolves on their attack half, and so they really must push for this next round. You don't want to be looking at a 5-1 going into the second half. We saw how that worked out for Daystar in our first match of the day, and Direwolves really need to do a little bit better than that. Bleed are a very strong force, and on their attack, it is very much the same story. So when they flip into that second half, Direwolves need every round of their own attack that they can get.
Here's Turd looking for a potential either spawn peek out onto the exterior of the building, run out, potentially. Maybe he's anticipating someone to try and enter in through kitchen or something like that to try and get this run out on. But how is he going to know?
He's got to be waiting for a call from someone on site that like the thermite is going for a breach on the jacuzzi wall. I can see someone repelling at the moment on the jacuzzi wall through the outlines. And so someone's repelling and another one's repelling. Turd could be good for 2 here. Is Pika able to get an angle? Like, Pika is looking towards him, but I don't know if you can actually get a deep enough angle from that position with the ace.
I don't know if they know.
Is watching it. Okay, Turd is going for it in just a moment. He hears the EMP. Calls come out from his teammate. Pika, oh, he survives! Turd can't land enough bullets. He can't land the critical headshot. And so the jig is up. His position is revealed. And now Joe Gore looks to try and hunt him down.
I don't know if that's been relayed yet, Dev. Joe is actually going to head straight up the red stairs, but he could get flanked from Secret here if he's not paying enough attention. Turd is down in the basement, and yes, he is able to get the one onto Reaps, but okay, no, the flank hasn't come through just yet. Joe now still safe in his position on top of red, and Dye will somehow get away from all of that unscathed. Oh,
as you say that, you curse it, and Irvin gets his 6th kill, by the way. 6-1. I don't know where he's got down from. Was that the outside window, perhaps? Asfi's taken down Souffle amidst the chaos, and the 3 remaining Direwolves players look to pick up the pieces as 2 file in from Con here. Joe Gore is a very dangerous player, and he's still alive, got that R4C. Asfi as well in a position where he could be vulnerable once this keeper barrier has been destroyed. Oh, this is the angle from Pika. Well away on the rappel with the bathroom wall and the jacuzzi wall open. Hang on a second, Joe Gore's in the site. He's found one. What is going on? Asfi has replied, and that does make this difficult now for Joe Gore. Stuck in the middle of site. Big round for Asfi here. Pika against 3, and it looks like the half is all but over for Direwolves. Bleed had a really solid half. 5 rounds, 4 of which were in a row.
Yeah, things just really fell apart there for Direwolves on the attack. They got the wall open, they put the pressure out, they got the pick on the bomb site. But then once the flip came around and they actually tried to take the control over from Cash side, they just end up dying in their engagements, trying to come through in a pretty linear way on very little time. Yes, Joe managed to inject himself into the bomb site, but he was stood between 3 players. As soon as he got 1 pick, there was 2 more there to meet him straight away. So I think ultimately, yeah, once again, Bleed just holding on to some strong positions in the bomb site, not getting too over-aggressive, just waiting for Direwolves to tick away on the time through the round. And I think ultimately every single attack kind of went that way, Dev. Direwolves just spending a really long time through the mid-round meant that by the time it actually hit the execute, they never really had anything solid.
Yeah, very true. Joe Gore had a big round though. Actually 8-5 at the moment. Really impressive scoreline. Though he is rivaled by Asfi on 8-4. Tell you what, Turdster got a little bit lippy in chat there. I'm not sure you saw it. He said good half at the end of it, which of course it is a thing that people say in good sport, but I'm telling you right now, Turd was not saying it in good sport.
No, definitely not, mate.
He was very happy about the
Absolutely
5-1. He wanted to wag his finger in their face. And there's a little bit of drama between Turd and some of the Direwolves players. I won't go into it, but if you want to follow Turd on Twitter or have a look at it, and you can enjoy a little bit of I guess, discover your own adventure story. I won't spoil the surprise. Hello, goodbye. Oh, my. Reaps has been struggling today. The high sends God himself. Head taken clean off by the young gunner of Joe.
I think Gus said it pretty well on desk. Reaps can be a bit hot and cold with the way that he plays, and this game is a bit more of a cold game, I suppose, if you want to say it that way for him. Not doing nearly as well as his teammates, but it's pretty hard to do when you've got Asfi, who's like 8-4. You've got Hobbin that's 6-1. Where are all the kills going? It's only been 6 rounds. You can only get so many. Here's Turd on the top floor looking for a pick all the way down into the main stairs. Now that's Souffle inside a bar, who will potentially use that as his fall-off route a few moments later. The drone's going to sail out just to confirm whether there's anyone actually in the ground floor. Don't think Souffle's been droned out yet.
Like, quite an ambitious round for him, to be honest. I think we just heard. Who was that? Around the corner. What is going on? Okay, Souffle is taken down, but not before he was able to kill, I believe that was Hoven, who was placing that hard breach charge down on the hatch. Fortunately, the hard breach charge was able to detonate anyway, so Souffle's impact is somewhat lessened. However, a 1-for-1 trade when you're up in the numbers is always going to favor you. So Direwolves still very much in the advantage, despite Turd trading him out.
The rat roaming as his army now. I see. This is how it's going to go. Anyway, here goes Mentalist with the Ossa at hand, who is going to use the shield to claim control at bottom main stairs. Now, he is wary that some bad things might be headed his way if there's someone with a C4 ripped on the other side, so he's going to be super cautious in this position, make sure that he doesn't get taken out early on. EMP's on the wall to try and enable this breach to come through actually gets completely nullified. I think the impact trick on the other side on the defense was able to take all of those ex-Kairos down. Now it's only none left actually in Asfi's belt, and it's just up to Mentalist to try and use what he's got on the wall as this line of sight. But this isn't looking like the best setup for the execute.
Yeah, it's quite awkward, especially as the defender can play behind the bar. Mentalist does need to really try and push for one of these kills, but it's not going to work so well, and if he does move into short, then his feet will be vulnerable. Turdster met with an Azami Q-Barrier. He's just going to drop regardless, and he does find that opening kill. Meanwhile, Asfi's found his. A good trade, though, from Pika. Mentalist now in a 1v2, but he's going up against a mirror window, and that ain't ever going to work for you. Direwolves finally stop the bleeding. 4 rounds in a row they lost on their attack, but they're looking happy as ever. Seal having a chuckle. Pika as well, as they finally find their second round.
I mean, yeah, that was a pretty curious one for me there as well for Bleed. They managed to get in through the mid-round, and somehow the rat defender inside the middle of Father gets misdroned, finds a pick onto the player opening the hatch, and then from there, going in a numbers disadvantage and trying to convert something down in the basement is never an easy task. Even sometimes when you have the man advantage, going into a basement execute can already be a pretty tough ask for the attack, right? So I think they ultimately Bleed probably not having the numbers, and then losing out on the mini game on the triple wall as well with the impact trick to come through meant that Mentalist couldn't really use that Ossa shield to full fruition, and really nothing added up there in that attack for Bleed, and Direwolves were able to come out on top.
Yeah, but the question is, can they find more than one? Can they continue the momentum? defense is going to be a lot more comfortable on Clubhouse, especially when we see early numbers advantages. And both teams have realistically been pushing for those. We saw a lot of aggression from Turdster on Bleed's defense. We saw that early pick onto Reaps from Joe Gore last round in secret. So Bleed, I think, need to be careful not to succeed early numbers advantages because they actually do have a real strength of problem solving, Bleed. And they're quite good at time management, and they have the gun skill to make those executes work very well. So I want them to get to those late rounds in a 5v5 or a 4v4.
DMR on Flores is a fun combination, especially when you're playing against an Azami setup like the one that Seal is bringing. All being opened up, but Joe Gore is getting aggressive on it instead. Just by the garage window, is going to go for the wide peek out onto it. There is a player on the rappel. This is pretty dangerous.
Very dangerous. Trying to trace the rappel line and hope that someone peeks up. It's very hard to contest that as an attacker, but you can get it done. You want to go for an aggressive run out, worried about the drone hole. A lot of things to worry about. Pika lands a lot of damage, but no kill onto Asfi all the way upstairs. Joe Gore will now push for that kill, but I think that he might have been droned out. I think a drone went into CCTV. He does have a really nice angle onto the line of sight generated by the Hibana.
Bit scary now for Bleed. I think they know that Joe Gore is here, but they're being really cautious about trying to clear him out. Souffle is also supporting him. Not just that, but, you know, his position is being covered up by the observation blocker too. So Joe Gore is now snuck into a very strange off angle to try and contest for the attack.
Oh!
And he absolutely minces them as they try and enter into server.
Wow, the perfectly timed peek using Souffle as bait. Oh, here's the run out from Pika. Finally finds the kill he was looking for. And Turd gets the kill that he's been waiting for all game, punishing Joe Gore, who's on a rampage, by the way. 11 kills. 1v3 thanks to Seal disconnecting as well. So, is this winnable? Maybe not.
You never know. It is Turd. He's on Ash. I don't think so, Dev. I feel like this one is not the most winnable of all 1v3s, but you never know. Could be cooking some magic here. He jumps in, and there is absolutely nothing to it. Souffle takes him down, and what a crazy round it was from Souffle and Joe Gore over on the other side of the map, right? Playing in tandem with each other to take everyone down as they went in through the map sweep from inside a server. They got absolutely minced in the crossfire.
Yeah, the Joe Gore effect. Really, really nice. Tech for Direwolves as they try and get Seal back into the game. Yeah, I mean, obviously Joe Gore played that really well. I think his patience is to be praised because there were a lot of opportunities where he was looking for something aggressive there, Mandy, and then decided better of it. You know, he wanted to run out on the guy that was playing at the garage door, and then he saw the rappel line. He wanted to peek the rappel line, and then he decided to chill out a little bit. He rotated back in, and then he actually used Souffle as bait. And once Souffle had his kill, the rest of Bleed looked to try and refrag it, and that was Joe Gore's time to shine.
I like the way he was playing it as well. I think just to double back on your point, I think the off positioning, the way that he was able to sort of just like wiggle around the attack, right? Like, yes, the drone came through and then he would reposition, and he'd reposition to just the most random spot inside of server or inside of cache or something like that. And yeah, it was this spot in particular, just this like tiny blind spot where the flashbang didn't sink into him because they actually sent it into cache when he was inside of server, that I really felt like put the nail in the coffin for that attack.
Seal is back. Be back. CCTV cash room. Mentalist is ready to rock. Here's Direwolves. They've just found 2 in a row on their defense, and they do look quite chipper, Mandy. I am wondering whether it's possible for them to actually mount a realistic comeback here.
I feel like it is. I think if Bleed don't give them enough respect in the way that they're playing these defenses, then they absolutely can. I think that last round was a perfect example of that, if you ask me, Dev. They are not doing their due diligence with their droning, not being careful enough. When you've got such an elusive player like Joe Gore, you are going to get punished for it, and that's where the rounds will start to slip away.
Reaps, man, you know they've been running Solus. Don't forfeit your drone like that, man. Oh. So frustrating. I mean, Reaps has been pretty quiet in the server, and it would be nice for him to have drones. And the only bit of info that he gleaned there is that, oh, they actually do definitely have a Solus. Yep, okay. Not like they've been running it every round anyway.
Oh dear. Well, here we go. The bomb site is CCTV and cash for Direwolves as they look to mount yet another defense on the board to try and, well, at least get a little bit closer on this scoreline. Bleed make their way in. I really like the pick from the Capital from Hoven. I feel like it can do some pretty magical things on this bomb site, whether it's to assist with getting the wall open, prevent that bandit trick from coming through, or whether it's to enable the execute later on. I feel like it's one of those opportunity-making operators that are really great on this bomb site. Here goes Joe Gore on his usual MO, going for an early peek out of one of these barricades, but decides to think the better of it and will fall off.
Bleed don't win this round. I think it calls for a tactical timeout. 5-1 was the scoreline. Can't afford to lose many more rounds. We need match point as soon as possible for Bleed. This juggle, though, from Felarx is proving to be a bit of a threat. I'm not entirely certain what Bleed's plan to deal with it is. Because obviously, like you alluded to before, they did bring the Capital, but is he postured to help? Here we go, yeah. Here he comes, but he's being contested, he's being peeked, and up goes
that was
the fire.
brave.
I'm actually not sure the timing has worked. There you go, it has, fortunately. And that does enable the breach to be opened, but now Capital's all out of fire, Mandy, and we haven't got Rafters control.
I actually can't believe that Hoven went for the re-peek there. That was scary, but nevertheless, he does actually assist his teammate in getting the wall open, and there has been a bit of a tussle down here in the ground floor as Bleed have flipped their attack around slightly. Yes, they've got the kennels wall open, but they also want control on the other side of the map, so they're going to enter in from Jacuzzi, come up main stairs, try and flush out some of these roamers on the other side of the map as well. It does seem like the rest of Direwolves have vacated this area inside of Master, inside of Con, and have fallen their way back into the bomb site, but the time is ticking away. There's only a minute left to go. They've only got one wall open. They haven't quite reached into Con either. Yes, they have the Selma charges to at least do this from range, but can they really clear this electricity on the wall? I suppose they've got the Ash down below to assist with that.
Not optimistic, especially now that Joe Gore's found his 12th kill and taken down Hoven. The smoke's completely dissipated. Hoven's fragging capability put to rest for now. How will they deal with the electrification on this wall? This is uncharacteristically slow and ineffective by Bleed.
I think it's Reaps who's down below that's going to assist his teammates on the buck to get this one off. And yep, it's certainly worked. Gone 6 to the floor. We'll take the bandit charge off that. Reaps is going to keep some of these players at bay. Yeah, he's trying to get the back of the green box open, but there's no one there, and there's only 30 seconds left.
He's got the timing on Souffle as well. Oh, no, he doesn't. The goo mine distracts him. Turns to outside the breach, completely obliterated. Asphy, hopeless. Mental is caught in the goo mine as well. Far too little and far too late for Bleed. Direwolves have just mounted a comeback. 3 rounds of defense in a row.
This is a very strange game of Clubhouse, Jeff. But you know what? It's different side of Clubhouse. Direwolves are pulling these rounds through, playing a great defense there, holding onto the wall for as long as they could. Bleed spent a long time loitering their way around the map and not really getting that much done, but on the other side, if you look at it from Direwolves' perspective, they're just playing the disciplined game, waiting for Bleed to go through the motions of the mid-rounds, take their time to do it, and then right at the end, they're holding onto the bomb site, which is pretty well fortified when you've got your combinations of like your mirrors, your Azamis, stuff to prevent them from getting their way on in. It's all just going so well on the side of defense.
Yeah, it really has, Manny, because we've only had 1 attack round 1 this entire game, 9 rounds thus far, and it's been a long time since that happened. 7 rounds of defense in a row, 4 for Bleed, now 3 for Direwolves. Thank goodness that Bleed have taken their tactical timeout. They really need match point, and they need it now. They don't have many more opportunities to lock this game away with the full 3 points, which realistically they need. We've talked about this a lot. There is a real battle for the top 2 seeds. Now, Bleed fortunately did secure all 3 points against Fury, but they're yet to play Elevate. They're playing Direwolves now, they're yet to play Jolita. There are a lot of teams that could steal points away from Bleed and potentially push them out of those top 2 spots moving into playoffs. And so they need all 3 here now against Direwolves, otherwise things may indeed look a bit dire.
Oh, it's not bad for View like that one. And I think taking that tactical time out the time that they did is a good time for them to recompose as well. In my view, Dev, I don't know how much you agree with this, but I don't really feel like Direwolves have done anything that special to be winning out these rounds. They're just playing some solid defense. It's good fundamental siege. Maybe with the exception of some like weird rat roams and like stuff like that, right? But outside of that, it's been pretty normal here in this server. I think Bleed just don't look like they're being as efficient as we would normally see them be. And I think taking that tactical timeout to go and recompose, make sure that they can get themselves back together, get back on the same page as a team is really important.
I would 100% agree with you, Mandy. Direwolves have had a bit of aggro from Joe Gore, and he's been hitting his shots tonight. As we say that, he's prepping for a spawn peek here as well. He's actually going to go for the full jump out. Surely not. Surely this doesn't work. Does he have the timing down pat? Does he have info? Osa still in spawn. Mentalist. They clearly know where he is. He contests for a brief moment, but then backs off and then recontests again. Joe is not easily scared off. He almost times it onto the Osa as well. He hears that it is indeed, and Osa sees the shield for a brief moment. Going to impact and destroy that shield and get away before his hatch has been destroyed.
I actually thought that Mentalist was going to go to pick that one back up again over there on the window, and then, yeah, he didn't get back. Wow, interesting. Reinforcing off the blue rotate. Has he locked his teammate in? Oh no, it's because I've got the mirror set up down there, right? So even once they get inside a blue, it's basically a kill box for the attack. As soon as they get in there, they can't then make their way, they can't then path their way on into the bomb site because they're just facing this mirror setup from Felox, right? So he's gotten to reinforce this up and prevented that from happening, which, honestly, fair enough. I can get by that.
This is a very solid hold of blue without playing inside of blue. However, now that the Moto hatch has been opened, things get a little bit more dire. More difficult. There is a castle barricade on the door from Moto into short, and that does restrict movement for attackers that drop down and might make it easier for the defenders to contest them, especially while blue is completely solid. However, much earlier, Asfi found the opening pick in Dirt Tunnel onto Pika, and that does make things a little bit scary for Direwolves as they are playing a player down. Bleed probably look to shape up for an execute here onto the kitchen hatch, and they are really set well for that, especially if Reeps can deal a little bit more damage than that to Seal. He spotted his foot for another moment. Clearly didn't realize it. We saw it, but that's easy to say when you've got the outlines on. 45 seconds as Bleed start to set up for an execute.
This is quick work from Bleed. Mentalist as well has got the Osa shield out in play, and they look very much postured for a kitchen hatch drop here. Hoven's going to enable that as well. The Capital bolts will go off and Reeps to cover.
Mentalist, oh, he is covered just for now, but immediately a shot on the long angle from Seal does finish him off. Reeps has found two, turns to Jewel on the vertical angle. Joe is on just a sliver of HP. The impact goes out. Reeps has found three on the round. He turns up when he's needed. And now Jogor has to deny this plant, but two players are hunting him as Hoven forces down the diffuser. Turd puts Joe in the dirt once more. He'll be firing up about that one. And Bleed finally, on the back of their tactical timeout, have claimed match point.
Solid round there for Bleed. I think you pointed out exactly that tactical timeout was a great opportunity for them to recompose. And I feel like that translated so well into the server that round. They did things so quick through the map. Early round was done really quickly. They dealt with Jogor looking for that spawn peak in a really cautious way with the Osa shield. And then from there on out, it was just bang, bang, bang. All the motions of the mid-round were done. All the hatches were open. Vertical played with the Ram. All of that process was so expedited that they had so much time when it actually came to the execute to make it work. And yes, it was scrappy. Yes, they threw bodies at it. But because they'd left themselves enough time and enough wiggle room, they were able to land it.
Exactly. Yeah, I do think the MVP for that round was Reeps. Funnily enough, you know, we've been ragging on him a little bit today. He hasn't had the best results on average, but he really did his job on the Ram that round, and he found the two kills that they needed to try and force down that execute and enable that push to happen. So Direwolves now staring down match point for the first time. It took Bleed a little while to get there. 3 rounds in a row on defense from Direwolves, and now they need to string together 2 more to steal some points away from the big dogs of Bleed.
You pointed that out well as well. Look, Reeps, he's a strange lad, but I've got a lot of respect for what he can do in this server as well, especially now that he's come to this roster of Bleed Esports, and I think he's really taken on being able to play a lot of the vertical operators, right? Like your Bucks, your Rams, anything that you need to tear up the floor. It does require like fairly good map knowledge, you know, prior to that. Yeah. And knowing where to go, being cautious of C4s, there's definitely a bit of finesse to it. And being someone that is so mechanically gifted, but still willing to get on such an important role, like, I've got a lot of respect for that.
It's a testament to his versatility, and as we say that, he is taken down, unfortunate timing. Testament to his versatility, because he's, previously he was like the star player of Direwolves, believe it or not. He is playing against his former team right now. And going onto a roster with players like Asfi and Turd, and even Hoven to some degree, like, you're never going to have like a monopoly on that star player role. And so you will have to flex onto more utility and task-centric operators, and he does a good job of that a lot of the time. Mentalist on the blitz goes in deep through dirt, runs straight past those Fenriers, and Hoven, fortunately, has punished Joe Gore, the big fragger. Mentalist does not want to overpeak here, does not want to overextend and start taking damage, as Direwolves have to readjust their defense to deal with this blitz in dirt.
Mentalist is looking like he's having a think about falling off this position instead. What it has done is that it has recalled all of the Direwolves players back into the bomb side. So yes, they've put a dent in the roam game in sort of like a backwards way by then going and hitting the bomb site, faking the bomb site, getting everyone to come back down to the basement, and that means that the rest of the map is clear. So now they can go and pivot their attention inside of this ground floor. They can start playing the vertical game that they want to, and then start to posture for an execute with a minute left to go. So they've effectively done like a backwards roam clear, if you know what I mean, right? They've just pulled a reaction from Direwolves to come back.
Very clever to bait all those players back to site. In fact, they've somehow baited them completely out of armory. That will allow Mentalist to force himself inside. Direwolves may have to retake. Wow, the fire from Hoven cooks Souffle to a crisp, and he is taken down. Hoven now trying to cover with sound. Turdster finds his pick onto Felarx. Pika and Seal must step up now. Pika finds his first. Hoven is on good cover. Seal finds Asfi. Maybe it is possible. Just maybe there's a chance here as Mentalist slinks his way back. The retake has come through upstairs. Seal on the hatch. Hoven looking to cover the drop. This is not an angle that Seal wants to contest, especially not against a gun like that. He needs his teammate Pika to come and support. Hoven getting harassed. Mentalist still the shield, still in blue. No, he's actually gone back towards the site, and he's found nothing so far. It's a 2v1. He's got the injure. He's got the kill. Turdster's got it. GG, easy. Bleed. It took him a while to put the nail in the coffin, but they got the deal done. Direwolves have been taken down. Bleed continue their flawless run in Asia League.
7-4 seems to be the magic number for Bleed Esports as they're able to claim another 3 points onto Direwolves in what was a pretty calculated fashion towards that late game there in the last round. Bleed able to recompose off the back of the tactical timeout and close it out.
Yeah, as you said, it was all about that tactical timeout. Things weren't looking so hot. Direwolves had 3 rounds straight of defense, and I noticed that Rob put something in the chat. It was like, clubhouse defense, am I right? Well, apparently, Turdster and the boys know what to do when it comes to that tactical timeout. They fired up, and they took it 7-4. Rob, what do you think of that game?
Yeah, the reference is definitely the Flossie meme, hitting that defense on Clubhouse doobie diff. But 2 basement defenses in a row failed from Direwolves side, Guz. That's actually what closes this game out. I don't know. I saw it, but as Xenox masterfully says, I just don't know if I believed it.
Yeah, I mean, the funny thing is, right, the final 2 rounds, we saw the Osa then the Blitz, and they were key parts of that attacking structure for Bleed. Oddly enough, Direwolves actually did a pretty good job in, dealing with the Osa and killing Mentalist in the first attempt. And it was then other players, making plays and unraveling the defense. Similar story in the second round where they avoided the blitz, but unfortunately others then stepped up. So Direwolves were just that couple of percentage points short in this matchup. I think defensively, they were the sound for the most part. Unfortunately, Basement let them down. They tried to double down, didn't work out, and Bleed were pretty on point tonight. Even with Reaps having a colder game on a map where Clubhouse is harder to find entries, he wasn't able to be just as proficient as we would otherwise expect. The rest of the team still played quite well, and ultimately Bleed with the better team.
Yeah, Xenox, someone you highlighted in the pre-show was Asfi, and his performances thus far in the stage. He's gone on to, I guess, lead the team in that department yet again.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, an interesting game. Probably the kind of game I wasn't really anticipating. First half went... have I done a James Dev minus Stewart? I have done a James Dev minus Stewart. As I was saying, first half was probably as expected to some degree. Clubhouse defense, I thought Bleed looked pretty default in their approach, didn't really make any mistakes, and looked very clinical. And the second half just surprised me a little bit, but it was obviously Clubhouse defense, and so therefore you have to anticipate there's going to be some level of comeback. But yeah, it got a little too close for comfort, and as it was continuing, I was starting to get a little bit worried for Bleed, and it actually has kind of gone against the grain that we've seen from them, where they start slow so far this stage, and then they kind of come back and look really good. So it was a bit of a flipped effect today, where they started really well, albeit the map and the side, and then kind of slowed, but in the end got the job done. I gotta say, like, I wasn't a fan, by the way, of the shit talking at the end of that game as well. I mean, I don't need to flag this, but come on, guys, bit of professionalism. That's all I'm going to say about it, and leave it at that. So those guys are good guys. I'm talking about Bleed, but just be a bit more professional.
Yep, I think that's more than warranted. Guys, as we look forward for both of these teams now, does much really change in the department for the Diables conversation? Coming into this, they were obviously the lesser, they were on the out of that conversation. Does anything change? Were you seeing things in that game that makes you believe that Diables might have a better push than originally anticipated?
I don't think it changes the discussion all that much. It sort of knocks them down a peg, I think, to reality. Diables, again, they had a relatively straightforward fixture to kick things off with Daystar and then Hissib Warriors. They should have been winning those games. Ultimately, they did. Losing to Bleed then mars their record a little bit. More so because we only have the one major slot in the league. So at some point in time, you are more than likely going to probably have to beat Bleed. Now, in a best-of-3 format, perhaps they'll be a little bit better suited for that. However, their adaptability throughout this match probably puts that into question a little bit. Things like doubling down on basement and struggling to deal with those big win conditions that Bleed presented. So I think for Diables, it's an okay game, but nothing more than that. And they'll have to be far better, especially in that playoff bracket, if they're to re-enter a discussion for Manchester.
For sure. Well, it is time to talk to Julio, I believe, actually, from Bleed, the lead, the head coach, or so we hope. And I do have a particular question to kickstart things. Julio, welcome to the Asia League show, if you will. Have you been on stream for? Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. Have you been on the stream yet?
No, not yet. Only on you with Eminem interview, but here first time.
Wow, geez, I can't believe it's taken us so long to get you in here. Look, I've got to ask you, how do you feel like the team's doing after SI? Obviously, we spoke to Mentalist last week, and he'd mentioned that there was an element of fatigue that was kind of holding the team back from, I guess, demolishing teams so far. How do you feel like that's progressed throughout into day 3 now?
I think we are still setting up the pace. The only bad thing is, I think our region is the best in whole APAC, but there's only one slot, so we can't actually scrim them. So we don't have like the best scrim possible, but yeah, we're gonna just improving day by day and catching up with this group stage.
Julie, I know that ping's probably an issue, but do you guys have a scrim Team Bliss from Oceania, considering what they've been able to achieve internationally?
Yeah, they are really good. I personally asked them to scrim us, but they don't like it because they're like 100, I don't know, 150 ping. But at least if you wanna scrim, let's go. You guys are good.
You sucks, Bliss. I'm calling out Bliss now. You're a bunch of sucks. Guys, what's your question, man?
I'm interested actually to ask, how much do you as a coach and the team inside of the server have to change the way you play? Obviously at an SI or a major, the meta is very different here to Asia. Do you find that you have to consciously change the way you approach the game a lot?
I think it's fine. I think we already know how to play against every type of gameplay. If they like play really aggro, if they play like for fallback, like all types of play on attack and defense. So we just figure out how they are trying to play the map and then just play according to that.
Now, Julio, it seems we've asked every question but the game, so I'm just going to keep in that trend. We're not even going to worry about the game because it was an expected win and you've got that across the line. What's the number one thing that you focus on with this team in this region? Because obviously there's a big discussion here as to how teams play internationally, domestically. But what is your main focus to get this team across the line?
I think the main point in APAC in general is just the screens day by day. For everyone to try harder, because the best improvement you can get as a team is just try hard every day. and do your maximum. It's just improving till you don't see, but eventually gonna get better. And that's it, like in Brazil, they are always in game houses because they play on São Paulo, they play on land. So
yeah,
actually they look like they try harder, But then I want just to implement these and other teams as well. I think if every team play like this, like try harder and screams, and yeah, that's it. That's how we improve our region and a team, and it's day by day, It's nothing else, just daily improvement.
Julia, I feel like we could sit here and talk and waffle on for a very long time, but I don't want to keep you much longer.
Sure.
Have you got any final thoughts before we let you go?
Yeah, thank you everyone cheering for us, and yeah, I hope we go to playoffs and then you go to Manchester, but it's still a long way. We have really good teams, especially Elevate, Gelida, Fury is gonna be like a war, But whoever goes to Manchester, I hope represents our region well, so we get the second spot back. Let's go.
Well, Xenox was just saying in my ear, he can't wait to see you at Manchester. So best of luck for the rest of the stage, mate.
Thank you. Hope to see you there.
That's a good
That's
joke.
right. Jake won't
like
be there. You guys might
Was
visit
he,
Jake.
was he saying that to you, Rob? I think he was saying that to you.
No, I think he was saying it to both of you.
You've
He's
done a
more
major
worried about
write-up.
you boys. I generally only come in for the big slots.
Right,
They only get me in for the big ones, mate. That's all
it
it
is
is.
infuriating though that this region only has the one slot, and it's boggles my mind absolutely. My hope is though that with the fact that we are down to just one slot for Asia, that it very much increases that competition. You would think the response to that would be these teams wanting to scrim more and more and more and wanting to get better and better as quickly as possible to gain that slot. So right now, though, so far, Bleed getting the job done. Clearly, I think that they are treating this stage very seriously. You could go back to say like last year's format system. They didn't really have to give like 110% every single night, every single play day. The way the format worked, it was like didn't really matter. There was 2 slots, etc., etc. And really, if you go all the way back to stage 1 and that kick in the bum that they got after losing to Fury, then stage 2, I thought they played really professional, and they always looked like they were guaranteed to get a slot. This year, they can play as professional as they like. They ain't guaranteed anything. There's only one slot, one chance. You have to be perfect the whole way through. I think they can do that. For me, they're the absolute outright favorite. Across the board, top to bottom, they're a team that's completely stacked. So it's just about maintaining that mentality throughout the entire stage, which is not easy. And best of luck to them.
Yeah, 100%. I think that this is the time where the margin for error has decreased so much in this region that it's made it even more competitive, and it makes it great for us because we get to watch great games every single week. But it really is it's going to be a really, really harsh playoffs. That's all I can say. But we are going to go to a break now. I'm going to preface this. Usually, I like to try and get my throws out of the way nice and quickly. We are currently in the middle of a maintenance. That is correct. So we will be going for quite an extended break. Now, when we come back, we will actually be watching the third match of the day. We will not be watching on stream. I need to make sure I preface this as loud as I can. We're watching Fury and Elevate when we come back, but Hasib and Knock Knock will be playing off stream. So we'll try to keep you updated on what's going on there as best we can. But this is going to be a long one. So I guess grab yourself a cup of tea, kick back on the couch, watch the timer tick down. We'll be back.